Hey everybody, Syntax77 here, and today I just want to get a little discussion going on the topic of pack choices for backpacking, specifically from a beginner's standpoint. I actually got this comment posted on my channel. It's from Valscorn01, and it says, question, as a beginner, would you advise a larger pack like your winter one, parentheses, your old pack apparently, or something lighter like your Osprey you used in your most recent video? The most recent video that he was referring to at the time was my Great Smoky Mountains video, in which I used this red pack here. This blue pack here is my older pack that I now use for winter. Okay, I want to get you your answer, Valscorn, and anybody else out there with a similar question. This video is obviously for you too. But there's a lot of very personal factors that go into it. There's no one right answer. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and basically tell you kind of over the last couple years what I've experienced, what I've bought, and where it's brought me today. And then I'm going to call upon my viewers who know way more than I do. I might make a decent video, but they know the real ins and outs of backpacking. Collective knowledge always wins. So hopefully we'll get some good comments, video responses, whatever, some just general discussion going, and this will be a good place, kind of a meeting of the minds, and we can get some good tips for people who are new to backpacking. Because you might be saying, do I jump right into ultralight, or do I start with something more conservative? And like I said, that's really going to depend on your situation. And there's a lot of trial and error that I'm sorry you can't avoid, I don't think. Or at least you probably shouldn't, or you'll be cheating yourself. Because believe me, I'm not like super backpacking guy or anything. I'm just somebody who, for whatever crazy reason, decided a couple years ago to document his foray into the world of backpacking. Basically, my whole journey so far has pretty much been documented here right on YouTube, from pretty newbie to whatever my current state is right now. So let's just get into it, okay? First pack I got here is the EMS Longtrail 70. Now, the 70 stands for how many liters are in it. So for those of you newer to backpacking gear, you're going to see these packs measured in liters. They're also measured in cubic inches as well. So if you look a little finer, you can usually find that cubic number as well. The choice is yours, but you're almost always gonna see the liters even more prominently, just because it's a little easier to market, I guess. You can throw that 70 in there, or in this case, this is a Hornet 46. It's 46 liters. They pretty much, from what I know, they actually take ping pong balls and see how many they can jam in these things, and that's how they come up with their liters designation. So the higher the number, the more you can fit. But also the heavier the pack will probably be. So you don't want to go overkill, but you also don't want to go underkill either, as we'll discover. So first pack is right here. A few years ago, a friend says to me, let's do a week-long backpacking trip. You're coming, let's go. I said, all right, but I need to buy some gear. So I went out and I said, where do I start? You can, as you can see, get packs all the way down into the even 30s, although that'd be kind of like a day pack, all the way up into the 80s or 85 or so. It's probably the highest you're going to see. I settled with a 70 because I just didn't know what to expect, and I wanted to have that room. And honestly, I'd like to say, oh, I didn't want to go for the biggest pack ever because I was being, conscious of the fact that that'd be a waste of weight, but I wasn't even thinking like that back then. I honestly wasn't. No, I don't think I even thought once when I was at EMS, like, oh, how much does this pack weigh? Which nowadays I'd be all over that. So totally different mentality back then. But either way, I bought this pack, and I'm glad I did. Because even though I use this now, smaller pack, and not this, I used this in the beginning because, yeah, I was hauling around more stuff than I do now, but that was just kind of a learning experience. I went through and I found out what worked for me and what didn't. And I hate to say it, but anybody on those forums out there that touts ultralight as if they were born that way, they're either superhuman, super lucky, or they're full of it. I mean, we've all gone through the experience. I think you got to kind of get out there, see what you like and what you don't like. You could jump. This is for Valscorn and anybody else out there. You could jump right into the ultralight pack I got here. This one actually has a frame in it, so it's Not quite as minimal as some of the other ones, but this weighs around 1.5 pounds. This weighs 5 pounds. This can fit probably twice as much. By looking at my videos, I mean, you could get an idea of what to bring out there and you could jump right into ultralight, but you know, you might end up just bringing what I would bring. You know, everybody brings a certain amount of luxury items and their necessities, and your idea of a luxury item that you just absolutely have to have might be completely different than mine, and chances are you don't even know what that item is yet. For instance, I bought a camp stool. You know, it's a stool that you bring to camp and you sit there with it. Weighed about 1.5 pounds, no, 1.25 pounds I think. I've determined at this point I don't need that. I rarely sit when I stop to take a break. I just stand. When I get to camp, I'll find a log or something, I'll make do. So it's not worth the 1.25 pounds to me. My friend Mike that I go with, he likes to have that guaranteed stool that he can sit down, and even on breaks, you know, if we do a trail break, he kind of likes the idea that he can bust out a stool. So that 1.25 pounds is worth it to him. Now, some ultralight guy on some forum somewhere is going to say, oh, 1.25 pounds, and you know, he's going to say that Mike's out of his mind and he's terrible. But last time I checked, Mike wasn't making you carry his gear for him, so I don't know why it hurts you so bad. You know, there's all kinds of different preferences out there. Are you the type of person that wants to have a stove that can boil water for the entire 6-person party in about 2 minutes? Well, then it's probably worth it to bring a big old jet boil stove with a giant pot. Or maybe you're a person who's just by yourself and you can do a little cat can stove. I don't know. These are things that you got to figure out as you go, most likely. You're going to discover what works for you. So in the beginning, I'm not encouraging you to spend a ridiculous amount of money and haul a ridiculous amount of weight, but you're just going to have to find out what you like. So it might not hurt to go a little heavier in the beginning. The upside of that is, because I know what some of you are saying, yeah, but you could buy the right pack right from the gate, spend less money. That's true. And you got to weigh that in. In my case, I never knew I would go ultralight, but I knew that I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do yet. And I knew there might be some different situations that I would be in down the road. I had a good feeling I'd get into this. I just didn't know how. This is not a complete loss. This used to be my summer bag. Now it's my winter bag, as referenced in that comment. So in the winter, I can't get away, at least not at my skill level now. I can't get away with carrying this small of a pack. So now I have my winter bag and my summer bag, and you know, because I bought kind of an entry-level brand, my total cost for these 2 packs is still not that bad. Just to put things in relative perspective, this is I think it lists for 180 bucks. Okay. Now I'm just talking about being smart with your money. You don't have to be cheap. People love to throw that cheap word around. If I wanted you to be cheap, I would recommend you just go get a surplus Alice pack, which, by the way, kind of a fun pastime. Although, you know, it's going to cost you like 30 bucks, that's great, but the downside is this is like, what, 40-year-old technology at this point. The support system, not quite the same. It's pretty heavy. But there's guys that enjoy this. This is kind of a fun pastime for a lot of bushcrafters and stuff. They just use the surplus stuff. I have a feeling that Valscorn was not looking to go down that road, so I'm not going to push them that way. But hey, $30 surplus. Hell, you could even do the LBV, the load-bearing vest, for all I care, with a little butt pack on it, you know? I don't actually backpack with this, I just wear this to the supermarket. Now, my wife went with the Gregory brand, which is a much higher-end brand. That cost about, a Gregory will run you easily 300 bucks and up. It's probably a 300 plus bag. Whereas I got this and this together for about the same price as that. But I'm doing a lot more things. In her case, she went right to the nice bag, but that's probably the only bag she's ever going to need. Knowing what we know now, that's a 70 liter as well. Knowing what we know now, yeah, I could probably carry some of her stuff and give her some tips to get her weight down. So did she really need a 70? No, probably not. It weighs about 5 pounds as well. But after spending that kind of coin, we're going to stick with it. And just to bring up a point about the difference between brands, difference between the EMS and the Gregory. High-end brand versus basically the entry-level store brand. Fit and finish, obviously you can feel this is a much nicer quality material than this one is. It's just got a little more thought put into just quality and accessibility to certain pockets that you can reach while the bag's still on you. Because it does have all those nicer extra pockets and everything, all that fabric comes with a cost. If you're going to have extra pockets and stuff, it's going to add up. So you can see how that could affect things. So that is actually possibly a little heavier than this guy here. They're both the same leaders. You can see mine has just a taller profile and hers has a little bit more of a squat profile. And both of them, if you want to shave weight down the road, and this is something to think about, almost all the packs out there, you can take the top section off. And I've done that. When I was not quite ready for this red pack, I was kind of in that in-between phase, and I have a video on it. When I was trying to pare things down, I just took the top off. I was able to shave some weight, and I didn't need the space anyway. So that is an option to remember. You have that scalability with most packs. That being said, durability, I've kicked the crap out of this thing and it's doing just fine. Is this one more comfortable? I don't know, I've never worn a Gregory. If I did before I bought this, then yeah, I would say most likely I would notice a comfort difference of some sort, but this did me just fine, this EMS here. This one on the other hand, definitely nicer quality, but almost double the price. So you gotta make that choice. I mean, I wouldn't advise going super high end right from the gate just because of that risk that you might not know what you're into yet. So far what have we come up with? A, be really certain that you know what your style is going to be before you go buying the high end thing. B, be realistic about what kind of seasons you're going to be doing, or I should say if you're only going to be doing 3 season, or will you also be doing winter. Okay, if you're also going to be doing winter, or at least in the future, you think your skill set might improve to the point that you want to do winter, get the larger bag, and you can always use it as a winter bag later. The danger of buying that larger bag is, psychologically, you're most likely going to find stuff to put in it. Whereas if you went right to the little Hornet, well, you wouldn't have any choice but to bring what can fit in it, correct? Either that or you go back to the store and trade it in. But if you buy a smaller bag, you're going to most likely make it work. So that's something to look out for. 80 liter bag and you're new to backpacking, you're probably going to fill it. And that also brings up a good point. Speaking of my wife's Gregory bag here, when I was prepping for this video, I said, oh, there's some stuff in these pockets. And check this out, I pulled these out. This is funny just to show you the mentality. And nowadays, this is something that I would go, through my wife's bag and do a little check to see if I could save her from stuff like this. I mean, look at these things. These full-size containers, I mean, this is a 3-ounce container of sunscreen. This is a big old thing of Benadryl, and this is a 6-ounce container of bug spray. So things like that, I can tell you just by watching this channel and other channels on YouTube, you don't need trial and error. You just need a little reminder, like I wish I had somebody giving me years ago. You don't need a whole season's worth of bug spray with you. It seems small, but it adds up. So that, ultralighter or not, you can't really argue with that. Either buy a smaller bottle or get smaller containers like this and just fill them up with your larger bottles. If you don't have if you don't have a name brand bottle around already, you can go to a camping place and buy little plastic squirt bottles and squeeze bottles, and you can put whatever you want in there. I mean, this amount of sunscreen was probably crazy, and the scary part is I was probably carrying one too. One 1-ounce airplane sized tube is enough for 2 people for a trip, I'm sure. So little things like that, yeah, you can skip the learning curve on that, okay? So Valscorn and anybody else out there watching this video because you're thinking about getting into backpacking, don't know what to buy yet, believe me, I really want to be able to say to you, go ultralight from the gate. Go buy your 45 liter pack and just make it work. But I don't know that would be responsible for me to say. That would be pushing what I've evolved to onto you from the gate. You might never even decide to get here. And I'm not going to go too far down this topic, but just because some people do this, including me, doesn't mean that you don't like to have more creature comforts with you. So for me to tell you, go right to ultralight, and you're the type of person who likes to maybe hike a lower amount of miles and then set up a nice camp and hang out with your friend or significant other and you know, have some luxuries, and you spend more time at camp than actually hiking, then you know, the larger pack is the way to go. You just got to weigh those options. So I hope that you got a little something out of this. It's pretty simple and straightforward. I didn't really answer your question, did I? I just kind of made you look back at yourself. But as with most things in life, that's probably the best way to get where you want to go anyway, not to get too deep on you. So hopefully this has at least gotten some mental juices flowing for those of you who are new to this and just starting to think about it. And for those of you out there who've already been through this and you're watching right now, please feel free to post in the comment section, get some discussion going. If anybody else has some topic ideas, go ahead and post in the discussion section of my channel page on YouTube. Until next time, I'm Syntax77, and have fun out there.